Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Co Show. My name is Mason Coe, and here, as always, with my co-host Aaron Coe. This is Seahawk Talk number 6. We are on the bye, and
Bye.
yeah, and 5-0. Obviously, feeling great heading into the bye week. Coming out of the bye week, obviously we don't have a game to talk about for the Seahawks, but I guess we will do a slightly extended preview of the next game against the Cardinals, especially seeing as it's divisional, and also just kind of a general feelings just coming out of the bye week. I mean, the most general feeling is great because we're 5-0,
You
but
cannot do better than 5-0.
you absolutely cannot.
That's my analysis.
Can't do better.
Show over.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so we'll kind of just go through and talk about our likes and dislikes so far from the season, and then head right into a preview of next week's game versus the Cardinals, which there's no use to preview that game. You just don't know what's going to happen. It's Seahawks Cardinals is always a shit show. So
yeah, it seems like, they I believe they beat us up here in 2013. I mean, not that that matters. There are almost no players in common,
yeah,
but it's always kind of been like that. It seems like they sneak up and bite the Seahawks when they shouldn't.
yeah, for sure.
And then you've had, I mean, some of
The
the
tie,
ugly, the tie,
yeah.
which is probably the worst football game I've ever seen.
I think
other
so.
Than maybe the 08 whatever year that was.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've blocked it out.
Yeah.
But those are the two worst football games I've ever seen. But what was it? Was it 6-6?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. So you had
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Okay. Let's. Ew. Okay.
Yeah. By the way, indoors in Arizona. So I don't know how that happened, but it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we could kind of just go by position group and go from there. Obviously, starting with Russell Wilson, can't ask for anything more. There was one or two times he made a questionable decision or maybe held the ball for too long. I think that's the biggest thing is he holds the ball a little too long sometimes. But other than that, there's absolutely nothing more we can ask from Russell Wilson. He's the MVP so far this year. He's the best quarterback in the league, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many others currently, I believe. And yeah, I mean, just amazing altogether.
Would you take 4,800 yards and 61 touchdown passes?
Yeah, that sounds all right.
That's what he's on pace for.
That sounds
right
all
now.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Insane.
the pace he's on right now.
Absolute insanity from Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I can't say I expected him to play this well, but and honestly, I wouldn't have expected him to play this well, mostly because of Shoddy. It was mostly because of the play calling. They weren't letting him cook, and this year they are. It's complete change of pace for this offense, and especially for Shoddy, who was was with the Colts before and had a similar run pass style. Finally, he's seeing what he has and working with it, and also in part to the offensive line playing incredible so far this year, at least with pass blocking.
Well, part of Shoddy's deal is he's played for defensive coaches for much of his career. So, as much as people want to talk about Shoddy letting Russ cook, Pete Carroll has to let Russ cook.
That's true.
Pete Carroll has to decide to go for it on 4th and 3 on the opponent's side of the field, which they had a big touchdown pass to DK in that situation this year. So Pete Carroll, I think Shoddy, he's an employee. He doesn't get to do whatever he wants. So I think Pete Carroll changed his philosophy and is letting Shoddy cook, if you will, skybox Shoddy. So I think that's been the biggest change in the offense. Obviously DK's emergence
Incredible.
has given them something that this franchise has never had it.
I've said that
ever.
I've said that since before Chris Matthews showed up randomly in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Like I've said it even before then. When will we ever in Seahawks history get a guy just a guy built like that, a guy that can run, jump, is big, when are we going to get that guy? Because our best receivers are Doug Baldwin's, or Steve Largent's one of the greatest of all time, but he wasn't built like DK Metcalf by any stretch.
Largent was, well, the crafty,
the crafty white guy, of course.
The guy that you use, the phrases that you use with white receivers. But he wasn't fast. No. He wasn't big. He was just one of the greatest. I've heard him described as the greatest route runner of all time. I don't know if that's true or not, but he was a great route runner. He was smart and all those types of things. But they've never, those guys DK Metcalfs are hard to find. Everybody wants them.
Yeah.
People draft them in the top 5 picks, and most of them are busts. Mm-hmm. They don't pan out very often. But he's been special. He is on. It's kind of fun for me. I like during the bye week to see what guys are on pace for.
Yeah.
Oh, it never holds up.
No.
It changes either way. But DK right now is on pace for 70 catches, 1587 yards, and 16 touchdowns.
I mean, I will take that.
Yeah,
I will take that.
And that's a notch more than I expected. I thought, because he was 900 yards last season.
Yeah.
Second-year receivers normally take a big step forward. So I was thinking he'd be in the 1,200 range. Mm-hmm.
That's ideal though. That's like an ideal sophomore year jump. So like if he jumps up to 1,200, you're very happy with that.
Yeah, if you look at most receivers that have a rookie season of 900 yards, most of them jump up to, because believe it or not, there aren't many rookie receivers who do that.
Yeah.
That have a 900-yard rookie season. Mm-hmm. So if you look at the list of guys that have done that, most of them have come up, if they're healthy, have come up in the 1,200-yard range.
Right.
So he's, I'd still like him to catch a few more. But
there's a couple of drops in there.
But and it's funny. I don't think he has many things that are considered drops.
Yeah, because he was on the Pardon My Take podcast, and he said the stat was he only had one drop, but I could remember 2 from that Patriots game.
They're pretty friendly with drops in stats. So a drop is basically if it's on your body,
on your palms,
if you don't have to reach for it.
Mm-hmm.
But like I've said a few times on this podcast, I want an elite receiver to go up and high point a ball.
Yeah,
so
which he did. He did against the Vikings really well when that cornerback was lost.
So if you go up and get your fingertips on a ball and don't catch it, that's not a drop. But in my mind, catch the goddamn ball, bro. That's why you're elite.
2 hands. So, I mean, two solid hands on the ball. You should catch
you got to catch that. So, but those are often not called drops. But anyway, hey, no. I mean, I can complain about anything, but I'm not going to complain about what he's done so far as a overall picture. You had the miscue where he let up and got the ball knocked away.
That's
He's had
just
a couple little things
that will never happen again. I guarantee he will never let something like that happen again.
Yeah.
I guess let's talk about the rest of the receivers too while we're at it.
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett's doing Tyler Lockett stuff. He's consistently been incredible and underrated throughout his whole career.
He's on pace for 96, 1094, and 13 touchdowns.
I will also take that.
Which is about what I think that's what he is. You know, he's not going to be a number 1 receiver, but he can be a really good number 2 receiver.
Yeah.
He's kind of been thrust into a number 1 role for a couple years there, but he's a really good complementary piece.
Yeah, for sure. And then I've been really happy for the most part with David Moore as well. He has a thing where he just makes the hardest catches.
Yeah.
So it makes it kind of seem like he's probably a better receiver than he actually is because he makes these difficult touchdown catches. But as a third guy, it's
he was in danger of getting cut, I think. I mean, no one from the Seahawks has said that, obviously, but just stuff I was hearing, like, I don't know if this guy's going to make the team. You had the guy that came over from New England.
Philip Dorsett. Forgot we have him coming back. Hopefully Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon, who knows the NFL is just, he's in, I don't know.
I can't remember if I said it on the podcast or not, but the weeks that he hasn't played this year should count towards his suspension. Because they've completely just ignored him.
Yeah,
so.
But we don't even know what his suspension is. It's a big secret, which I don't... Just give the guy a number.
Yeah.
hey, if he's out for the season, whatever, just make a decision.
It's like it's extremely unfair that they just aren't they just aren't deciding.
Yeah,
they're just holding him back.
Do you remember when you were a kid and you fucked up and like you go up to your room and we're gonna talk about and that time up in your room wondering like what. Just tell me. Just tell me.
Yeah.
How long am I grounded for a year?
Yeah.
That's what they're doing to him. Like, go to your room and we'll, you can just sit up there and sweat until we decide.
It's ridiculous.
It's been long enough.
It's ridiculous.
How many weeks? Fill in the blank. Let's find out what it is. So, but yeah, I've been pretty happy. So you've got David Moore, who again in danger of being cut. He's produced.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing what a third receiver essentially should do.
Yeah.
And then what I also like is I've been a little bit surprised with Swain.
Yeah.
What was he, a 6th round pick or something like that this year? He's contributed. So, there's different kinds of third receivers. David Moore is a down the field contested ball receiver. Swain is more, gadget plays, screen plays, get him open on picks. He's more of that shifty little guy.
Mm-hmm.
So just that combination I thought has been pretty effective. And that was honestly, other than the pass rush, which we'll get into, the third receiver was probably my second biggest concern going into this season.
I would agree with that.
So they've contributed more than I expected. So
sure.
Especially considering that Dorsett hasn't been able to play.
There's been multiple times where I just remember he's on the team, and I get really excited because I think he can really offer something, just even as a burner, whatever. Just having another athlete out there,
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have DK and Dorsett, 2-4-3 guys out there.
Yeah, that's exciting.
You as a defense, you gotta think about how you're gonna cover that.
Yeah, just roll him out to tire out Jalen Ramsey twice a year. Honestly,
yeah.
So, pretty happy with the receivers.
Yeah.
Tight ends, same thing. I mean, Greg Olsen had a pretty rough game. What was it against was it Cowboys? When he had the pick six.
That was the first game. That was against Atlanta.
Oh yeah, that was the first game. Yeah. So he had a little, rough start, but I can't speak to what he's offering in the locker room, but I imagine he's learning or he's teaching Will Dissly.
Yeah.
And I imagine Will Dissly's just soaking up that information like a sponge. So I'm excited about that. Dissly has looked good. It seems like he hasn't really lost a beat from before his injury. Obviously, he put up kind of crazy stats before his injury, so he won't be able to totally keep pace with that. But I was a little bit worried that, he's not like the super athlete that can necessarily get himself open all the time, man to man. So I'm just glad to see that he is getting open and, catching touchdowns and stuff.
Yeah, he's never going to be it's 3rd and 6. He's going to run a slant and beat his guy.
Yeah.
That's not who he is. He's a more, he's smart, get into the zones and good hands, good athleticism, but he's like a 4.9. He ran like a 4.9 at the combine. He's not running away from people.
And he's a blocker too.
Yeah, he's one of the,
on top of that.
I believe he's one of the best blocking tight ends in the league from what I've heard. It's it's hard to notice that while you're watching sometimes.
Right,
but, and Greg Olsen has been, he's been about what I think what we could have expected.
Yeah, that's about what I expected.
Other than the first play, and he's had a couple of stupid penalties, which is a little surprising. But other than that, he's caught some important passes.
Yeah.
He's, pretty reliable. So far he's, stayed healthy, which was another concern. So hopefully, knock on wood, that continues. So if those two tight ends can stay healthy, and then you've got Hollister, who, hey, he's a solid, receiving option. He can be a mismatch problem. Can't really block, but he did a pretty good job last year when he was like the only tight end left.
Seriously, yeah.
Everybody else went down.
He did fill in his role pretty well.
Yeah. He was the go-to receiver.
Seriously,
when everybody else was down.
Yeah.
So
he filled in well for what we were asking him to do.
Yeah.
Running backs, Carlos Hyde's been hurt, but I was happy with what I saw from him. Chris Carson's Chris Carson. He's great.
And they just haven't, they haven't been running it as much,
that's
obviously.
That's the thing. And that's what I love is that we're not talking about Chris Carson as this premier back that we're relying on for our offense. We're not. So that's great to hear for me at least. And I just want to stop the Travis Homer carries. Give Travis Homer a carry. If we're gonna completely give up on 3rd and 25, give Travis Homer a carry. Give him like 2 carries a game, just so when we trot him out there, they don't 100% know if it's gonna be a pass.
Yeah,
that's it.
Well, we need DJ Dallas to supplant him as the go-to pass blocker.
Seriously.
So DJ Dallas, figure out your blocking shit because he's a better runner.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
without question.
He only had a couple carries that game, and it was evident.
He just looked like he has some wiggle, and I think he can catch. He can catch it too.
Yeah, former receiver.
Yeah, I'd love to see him move ahead of Travis Homer, but when Travis Homer makes big blocks,
and he does
on 4th and 10,
and he does
to win a game, you gotta take that.
Yeah.
That's why he's out there.
Yeah.
So he's, I'd like to see less opportunities for him to carry the ball. But you can't, like you said, you can't just never run him.
Yeah.
Because otherwise the defense, you can't have the defense
knowing
what
roll
you're
out dime coverage. And,
yeah. Carson right now is on pace for 925, 10 touchdowns, but he's also on pace for 67 catches for 448 yards and another 10 touchdowns.
Holy shit!
'Cause he has three receiving touchdowns. Yeah. So I don't think he's going to end up with 20 touchdowns probably.
That's great though.
But here's the number one thing. Ask me what Chris Carson did in the playoffs, and I'll tell you how good his season has been.
True.
I've seen him in the regular season. True. I have no questions about what he can do. Let's do what you have to do to keep this guy viable for the playoffs. Keep him fresh, because he could. A fresh Chris Carson against banged up defenses in December and January, he could really be a problem.
I mean, there's still a chance we're like going to Green Bay or something in December. So, I would not, depending on how Carlos Hyde comes back after this injury, I would not mind seeing him nearly split carries with Chris Carson. As long as he's not playing like dog shit, I would not mind seeing him essentially splitting carries with him until the playoffs, because we can't, he can't be injured again. It just can't. So, I mean, overall though, running back play I'm happy with, especially like you said. I mean, the amount of passes that Chris Carson has caught.
Yeah.
And 3 touchdowns already. That's just incredible. So can't ask for much more there.
Yeah, for sure.
We already kind of touched on the offensive line. Really good this year. I mean, what
they had one bad half.
Yeah.
In the last game.
Yeah.
Other than that,
some penalties here and there, but not
like
noticeable.
Before.
Not noticeable like it was before.
And the penalties have mostly been on the rookie. And you can forgive a rookie for a couple of mistakes, but
so your theory was the offensive line coach is finally getting guys he likes.
Yes.
Some lighter guys too.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that the offensive line coach didn't have his offensive linemen. It's just the signings and the guys that we were relying on before it was weird. Guys like Fant and it was just kind of weird. So I'm really glad to see that. It's not just our offensive line coach being shitty. It's because it's the same thing as like a GM. GM needs his head coach. Head coach needs his quarterback. You know what I mean? It's that kind of stuff too.
Tom Cable was the previous offensive line coach, and I think they gave him too much say in who they were drafting. I think, because he was a respected coach before.
Yeah.
But I think he maybe was picking the wrong guy. I mean, look at if you go through, and I don't want to do this for God's sake, but if you go through the last 6-7 Seahawks drafts, basically since Russell Okung after him, you go through and look at who they picked, and it's bust after bust after bust.
Yep.
You have a couple guys that have come back to be viable, but people want them to draft linemen. They did that, and they just drafted the wrong guys.
Yeah, yeah.
So, So yeah, I think they flushed out most of the cable guys and brought in the Mike Solari guys.
Yeah.
And it's it's meshing well with what they're trying to do offensively. Finally.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the names right now.
Why do you have to do this? You're just gonna piss me off. I'm having a pretty good day.
I won't read them out.
Be salty
I won't
day.
read them out.
James Carpenter.
That's the first name I was gonna say. I'm not gonna read them out. Yep, that's one of them too. I'm not gonna read them out.
Okay.
Because I don't want you to get sad on the podcast.
It just makes me so. Think about the guy, and then if you're listening to this podcast and you want to just ruin your fucking day. You're like too happy and you just want to be miserable. Go look and see who the Seahawks drafted, those offensive linemen each year, and then look at players who were drafted after those guys.
I'm not gonna do that because that will make me actually sad.
Fucking suicidal.
That will actually make me sad.
Don't do it.
Yeah. By the way, just don't do that with any draft with any of your favorite. It's just a bad idea.
It's impossible.
It's a bad idea.
Like think about how many how many fan bases are like, wait, how many players did we draft before Russell Wilson?
Yeah.
So you could do that forever. Anyway.
Hold on. Okay. Mics are still rolling. Camera stopped. I'm gonna try to fix that, but we'll move on to a different group. So you can kind of go out here. Defensive backs. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about there. So just you go ahead and start while I try to figure this out.
Yeah, that's been a little bit of a mixed bag. But part of it, the four guys that we were expecting who were being compared to, is this another Legion of Boom? Those four guys have played a total of 77 snaps together so far this season.
Jesus Christ.
So if you think about it that way, so you have Jamal Adams coming in, you have Dunbar coming in, and he had a very unique offseason to say the least.
Yeah.
And then they haven't been able to play together because of injuries and
camera's live.
Oh, hi there.
Show 'em the wall. All
right. And you had Diggs getting thrown out of that game, so they've been together for 77 snaps, and 77 snaps is basically a game.
Yeah.
So in 5 games, they've played parts of games that have equaled one game, essentially. Mm-hmm. So we had the Dallas game where the corners, gave up some really bad plays. I think that the corners have been better the last few games. They're at least keeping stuff in front of them.
Yeah, Shaq's made a couple big plays too.
Yeah, he has.
Trey Flowers pisses me off. He's always leading the team in tackles. Like, how are you like competing with Bobby Wagner for leading the team in tackles as a cornerback? Like, what is going on?
Yeah. So, but if you get Dunbar in there more, I think he's played better when he's been able to be out there. Jamal Adams, they're still figuring out what to do with him, but I mean, he obviously is a playmaker.
Yeah.
As far as, tackles behind the line of scrimmage. So I would say, if I'm giving them a grade right now, the grade is incomplete.
Yep.
If you make me give them a grade, it's probably a C.
Mm-hmm.
But I think by the end of the year we're gonna feel pretty decent. If they stay healthy, I think we're gonna feel pretty good about them as a group.
I hope so, and I agree with that.
Oh, and Amadi's played pretty well.
I've been really happy with Ugo.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people on Seahawks Twitter that wanted to see a little more of him last year.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see that. Glad to see that. Pete is willing to switch stuff up a little, play to his players' strengths. Well, we haven't seen too much of Jamal Adams, but while he's out there, they've used him well. They've been rushing him and letting him play his game for the most part.
Which surprised me because I was like, they're going to bring him in here.
It's going to be Jimmy Graham 2.0.
He's going to sit in his zone, and this is, I'm like,
Yeah. By the way,
just they're playing him. They're playing him to his strengths.
A brief, I won't be able to find the tweet, I don't think. I saw a chart of just where Jimmy Garoppolo's passes went last night, air yards, and I
have stats on that too.
Yeah, the caption of the tweet was Jamal Adams is built against this passing attack, and it's true. It's just everything right up in front of him, pretty much. There was nothing nothing where Jamal Adams would have to turn his back and run.
Right.
So
and same with the Rams.
Yeah.
Pretty similar. I mean, they go down the field a little bit more, but a lot of their stuff, they both have very horizontal passing games. So Jimmy G, the first drive he had 69 yards passing on that first touchdown drive, but his receivers caught the ball. So in relation to the line of scrimmage, he basically it was negative 20 yards at the point where he completed the pass. So the receivers had 89 yards after the catch, and Jimmy G had 69 passing yards. So it was all behind the line of scrimmage. And
my God.
The Seahawks, I think, made an effort to build themselves for that type of game.
Yeah, and shout out to Parker Lewis. He's a good member of Seahawks Twitter. He has some funny stuff and interesting stuff. But this is the original tweet from Next Gen Stats. By the way, Parker Lewis was the guy that said Jamal Adams was built for this passing attack.
Yeah.
This is the actual stats, though. Jimmy Garoppolo favored quick, short passes in tonight's win over the Rams, with a significant percentage of his yards coming after the catch. 2.3 seconds time to throw, 4.4 air yards per attempt. Yeesh. And
that was after going negative 20.
Yeah.
Averaging negative 2 yards per attempt in the first.
It's so insane.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Look at the yak.
Yeah, 226 out of 268 passing yards after catch.
Yeah.
Saw George Kittle just catch and, beast his way 33 yards after the catch to the end zone. Maybe I could find Jared Goff's numbers too. I won't look too hard, honestly. But
he had a few downfield completions later in that game when they were trying to come back.
Yeah.
But early in the game, it was like both of these offensive geniuses running sideways plays to try to cover up for their shitty quarterbacks.
So what's interesting to me, I'm pretty sure analytics are like, don't run sideways plays. I don't know if that's the truth or not, but it's interesting to me that these quote-unquote offensive geniuses are running just a bunch of plays that aren't going forward. It's too simple. That's putting it way too simply, but
that means you don't trust your quarterback.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to throw picks if you put them in those positions.
Yeah.
So they're just trying to scheme completions.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Linebacker core, it's KJ and Bobby,
KJ has been fantastic this season.
KJ at times has looked a step slow, but he's been really, really great.
Yeah. I think he's playing great. Yeah, you're right. Especially the first game or two, he seemed like he was behind a step, but he's been all over the field the last couple of games. He's played extremely well.
Yeah.
I think he heard some of those voices, and he's maybe more motivated than ever.
Yeah, then it's hard to tell too. As a linebacker, a lot of it's being in the right place at the right time. It could have been early on an instinctual thing, and a couple games in, he started to see offenses better. Maybe he's watching more film. I don't know, or he could just be a step slower. Who knows? Yeah. But either way, he's making up for it with his instincts.
He was somebody that there was concern about him getting cut. So
I know
if they had signed, God damn it, Clowney, or
Everson Griffin,
any of those guys, but especially Clowney with a bigger number, there was concern that KJ might have been cut to save $8 million or whatever of cap space. So I'm glad he's still there.
Yeah.
He's proven that he can still play.
Fun fact: Clowney has the same amount of sacks as me and Bruce Irvin.
That's right.
So.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's actually talk about that real quick since we don't have shit to talk about. How are we feeling not signing Clowney at this point?
I would rather have him than not have him.
Yeah.
I think that it's pretty evident that he was never a dynamic pass rusher.
No, not even at USC, I don't think. USC being University of South Carolina.
Yeah. He makes plays. He makes sometimes some spectacular plays. He looks like he can dominate at times, but I don't think his light bulb is on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But he's good against the run. He's a good, solid player, but he's not our pass rush sucked last year.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he didn't fix that. He had 3.5 sacks or something. And I know he was hurt for part of the year, but he basically had one really good game and then was just solid.
Yeah.
He's a really good player. He's not worth what
20 mil.
We were all ready. I was ready. Yeah, sign him. But I think we have this image of what we want him to be, and he's not that, and really never has been. He's never had double-digit sacks in a season. People don't realize that. He's an 8-sack guy at his peak. So, but yeah, I would rather have him than not. But he was. It's not maybe as big of a deal as we thought it was.
Yeah, and I guess let's just move right into the pass rush with that. Yeah. Not good.
No.
We knew it wasn't going to be.
Yeah.
I'm glad that, honestly, just from an eyeball standpoint, I see Shaquem Griffin out there getting more pressures than like anyone else.
Right.
So, props on him. I think he's doing really well, at least from what I've seen. By the way, when I'm watching football, I don't pay a ton of attention to the line, like just with my eyes. So, I don't, even though I saw every play, I just don't watch the line a ton.
Yeah,
so,
most people don't, unless you'd have to watch the game 4 times.
Exactly.
To get all these little deals.
And I also have not looked at any PFF or any other numbers. Yeah. So I'm kind of shooting blind here, but it's been bad. But there have been times where a guy will step up and make a play, and I think maybe not this year, but if we just add one guy, or I don't know what it takes, but I think we could, as a committee, be a decent pass rushing team. Right. The problem is most good pass rushing teams, or even decent pass rushing teams, have a guy that gets sacks.
Yeah.
So it's hard to have a bunch of guys that get like 4 or 5 sacks a year. Like, it's hard to do that. So probably what it's going to take is us signing a big pass rusher or drafting one.
Possibly, or just somebody. So we have the dude that they drafted in the 2nd round, I think, who's been out.
Alton
Robinson? He was a 5th round pick, I think. It's the other guy that hasn't played yet.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember his name, but
I'm already on Seahawks draft history. Darrell Taylor.
Yeah, so he hasn't played yet. I'm not sure when he's back exactly, but it should be fairly soon.
I was excited about both of those guys, by the way.
Yeah. And Alton Robinson has made a couple plays. Overall, he hasn't been much of a factor.
Yeah.
Mayowa. Why the hell do you say?
I
still don't know how to say his name. Mayowa.
I say Mayowa. I think that's how broadcasters say it most of the time.
He has 2 sacks. He's been in on the quarterback on a couple of very crucial plays late in games. The team as a whole has 9 sacks. That's with Mayowa and Adams.
Do we know where that ranks?
2 each. I don't, but probably not very good.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, can trade deadline coming up in a week? I think it's 2 weeks from now, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a guy that they could go out there and get? Could they go out and get Ngakoue now that Minnesota is, going nowhere?
Mm-hmm.
It seems a little bit weird that they would do that, but is there a guy that they could go out and add? I don't know. It's hard to do that in the middle of the season. And so, assuming they can't, is this defense good enough to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I've always felt like, back in the day, it was defenses win championships.
Yeah.
To me, I felt like for the last 20 years, I feel like you have to be exceptional on one side of the ball and above average on the other side.
Yep.
I would say that's more and more going toward having a great quarterback or a great offense. If you look at the last 30 years of Super Bowl winners, the weakest quarterbacks, really, Russ Wilson was one of the weakest. He was a second-year player. He wasn't.
It was like,
Joe
Flacco.
He was a game manager.
Yeah. Joe Flacco last year. Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Was not good.
And
Trent Dilfer is the big one.
Trent Dilfer, and then the Tampa Bay guy that Gruden had, Brad Johnson.
Yeah.
He was another game manager. But what do all those teams have in common? Those are some of the greatest defenses of all time. So, and Russell Wilson was pretty good. I'm not. Believe me, I'm not saying
he was a great rookie, but he was a rookie.
He was second year. Sorry,
yeah.
But still,
he's a great second year quarterback, just not Patrick Mahomes.
No.
Yeah.
So anyway, so can their defense? So their offense, I believe, is exceptional. If they keep everybody healthy, they are exceptional. Can their defense? Can we get to average?
By the way, we are 21st in sacks per games at 1.8 sack per game.
That's actually kind of surprising.
Yeah, I know.
Teams that are worse.
And we are not. I mean, Buffalo and Dallas are at 2.0, so we're not necessarily far behind them.
Yeah.
But wow, San Francisco 23, 1.7.
Wow,
that's very surprising.
They lost a few guys.
Wow, the Bosa brothers 1.7, 1.6, 23 and 24 for the Chargers and 49ers. Wow. That's very surprising.
Yeah. Well, the San Francisco Bosa is out for the year, right? Isn't he? Or is he out for a good chunk of the year? I can't remember. So if you look at, it depends on what rankings you believe in, but all of them are pretty similar with where the Seahawks are ranked as a defensive unit overall. They're in the 19 to 22 range in most ways that you measure overall defense. So I think they need to get a little bit better than that.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's pretty bad. But if they could just get a little bit better, I think they have enough offense to win.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to see some improvements, and hopefully just they're going to need some good health, but having a couple guys back, I think will benefit them.
For sure.
Maybe that rookie can add a little something.
Mm-hmm.
But you're getting some contributions from LJ Collier.
Yeah, by the way.
He's
thank
made
God.
some plays.
Yeah.
He's not a pass rusher, really. He does have one sack. You're getting Alton Robinson has been in there. Mayo has been in there a few times. But yeah, you're not going to have a dominant pass rusher. It's going to have to be, teams are going to drive down the field, and then you have to try to keep them out of the end zone. That's the defense that we have right now. So, but that's good enough when you're scoring touchdowns on the other end.
Yeah.
And you have a quarterback that can take the ball down the field and win you the game at the end. I mean, that could be enough. I mean, I'm not overly confident that they'll win the Super Bowl, but I think they're certainly a team that's in the mix
I think you can't. Yeah, you can't talk about contenders without the Seahawks being towards the top of that list.
Yeah.
So, I guess before we move into the Cardinals preview, first of all, do you have anything left?
No, the only other thing would be special teams, and I think special teams has been great.
Yeah, Dickey's been
big balls.
Yeah.
has been fantastic. He I thought took a step back last year.
He did. He definitely did.
But I think he's been right there this year. He's dropping him inside the 20.
Yeah. By the way,
inside the 5.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. He's putting out a hat that says Big Dixon Energy.
Nice.
Which I just love.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty great. Make your money.
Yeah.
I might buy one on it. I mean, they don't look very good. So I probably won't. But, yeah.
The kicker hasn't been asked to do much, but he's done his job.
Yeah.
The return guys have, in today's NFL, you don't see a lot of returns, but they've been solid.
Mm-hmm.
So I think special teams has ranked. I think they're ranked in the top 4.
Oh wow!
NFL.
I didn't realize. I mean, yeah, it makes sense with Dixon doing his thing.
Yeah. So that's been a solid unit, and no reason to think that'll change. So, yeah, that's been good to see. We just got to get just a little bit more pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they'll be okay. They'll be fine.
All right. Before we head into the Cardinals and Seahawks preview. We got 2 Monday night games tonight. Chiefs Bills is Monday afternoon. It's at 2:00.
Oh.
I totally forgot that there was 2 games today. Chiefs Bills, by the way, that's a good matchup.
Yeah, that should be fun to watch.
That'll be exciting. 2 4-1 teams. They're giving KC 5.5 points on the road.
Maybe that's a lot on the road.
Yeah, I mean, home field advantage isn't crazy this year, obviously, but
you still have to travel. It's still not your locker room.
I don't know. 5.5. That's a good chunk. I'd probably take the Chiefs. It's hard for me to bet against Patrick Mahomes, honestly.
Anything less than 7, I would take the Chiefs. But I don't feel great about it. I could see it.
I wouldn't bet it. I wouldn't bet it.
Yeah.
And then we got Cardinals at the Cowboys. They're giving Dallas a point.
Well, my player of the week this week is supposed to be the Ginger.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I would love to see.
So would you take Dallas then?
No.
No, I'm not taking Dallas. Fuck that.
I think they have a chance. I think they have a chance. I think they definitely have a chance to win the game.
I mean, Cardinals had I forgot who it was. They had a really ugly loss though.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
the Cardinals are not very good either.
No.
But you would think they're probably going to run pretty wild on Dallas's defense.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the Ginger is going to surprise a few people, though.
Yeah,
I do.
I wouldn't be shocked if he went out and had a real nice game.
Yeah,
because it's not it's not like he sucked ass ever.
No,
like he never really sucked. He had a
few really good years. He just had no team around him the last couple of years. So he's got some receivers. So I think he's going to do pretty well.
All right. Moving into Seahawks Cardinals. The line will change probably after the Cowboys game, but right now they're giving Seahawks 3.5. I will never bet on the Seahawks unless it's money line. And I would not bet on Seahawks Cardinals ever. So
not 3.5. If it was 2.5, I would.
Yeah.
But I don't like that half at all. That half is how you lose money.
Exactly.
Especially with the Seahawks. I mean, when are they going to win by more than 3 points? Not very often.
Yeah. So Kyler Murray looking pretty solid this year. He does have 8 touchdowns and 6 picks, which is not good. Kenyon Drake, fuck you. Disappointing on my fantasy team. And then they obviously have DeAndre Hopkins, also the legend Larry, and Christian Kirk, who's a pretty solid young guy. I said it might be an extended preview, but especially with Seahawks Cardinals, there's really no prediction you can make. I mean, if I had to throw a score out there, I'm gonna say 31-24.
Yeah.
That's about what my guess would be. But
I was thinking the first thing that jumped into my head was 27-24.
Okay.
But that seems maybe a little low to me.
It could, true. That might be low. The first number that popped in my head for the Seahawks was 27 as well, actually. Yeah. But I bumped it up. I mean, Seahawks got a 66% chance of winning. There's only a 0.3% chance of a tie. I think that should be a little higher, honestly.
Yeah, it could be 6-6 again.
Yeah.
I think that so the Cardinals are, one thing that they have in common with the Rams and the 49ers is a lot of horizontal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of passes caught behind the line of scrimmage. The rookie's not throwing it downfield much. There's a lot of Hopkins in the flat. And then making a play.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's, I don't know. If you're judging running quarterbacks, who would you take first in the NFL for a running quarterback?
I mean, Lamar than him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks like a toddler when he runs. It's kind of funny. He's got his arms out.
Yeah, he looks like, I may have said this before, but he looks like an old football film that they've sped up.
Yeah.
His feet are just... Yeah. No, he's a dynamic runner. Cam Newton is a different kind of runner. That's another guy that always scares me. But, I mean, he's going to... I guarantee you there's going to be a 3rd and 11 or 2 or 3 that he gets with his legs where people are going to be punching the walls.
Yeah. People meaning you.
Not just me. You're going to hear the echo in the Puget Sound region. But yes, me. But he's going to have a few of those, but they just have to not let those be touchdown runs. They have to limit the number of times that happens. But
yeah.
it's gonna be a frustrating game to watch because gonna move. They're gonna move the ball, and we just gotta hopefully keep him out of the end zone at least some of the time.
For sure.
Yeah. So, he's fun to watch. I don't know if he's ever going to be a great quarterback or not, but he is exciting to watch.
Hopefully my Trey Flowers pick prediction will hit this week.
It's one of these days.
It's been a couple weeks, but I'm just going to keep saying it until it happens. 6 picks for him so far, I mean, it's hopeful at least. And Jamal Adams should be back, right?
Yeah, I think he's going to be back. I think he might have, I think he maybe even could have played in the last game.
That's what I thought.
They're like, let's give him the bye and get him completely
fully
right.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I'm glad they did that. Yeah. Obviously, we won, so I'm glad they did that.
Who's more likely to kill someone in this game, Jamal Adams or Budda Baker?
Ooh.
Budda Baker, for being like 180 pounds.
Yeah, he's a hitter.
Man, he killed 2 of our running backs last year.
God, I could see him lighting up Tyler Lockett, honestly. I'm trying to think of a receiver that could really get it from
Freddie Swain.
Oh my God, yeah.
You break him in half.
Jesus, yeah. So I'm kind of excited, kind of not for this game, just because it's always fun watching divisional game, but it's also not fun to watch a divisional game because it's just you never know what's gonna happen. Always just crazy shit.
Yeah.
Potentially a very ugly game. But yeah, you got anything else?
No, I mean I think it's a big game, I assume we'll probably talk more about 49ers Rams, on our next podcast
Wednesday.
too, but you want to keep that advantage that you've set up for yourself. So losing this game, puts everybody back on the table as far as being able to catch up with you. So it's a big one. It's a big one. I'm not going to say the Seahawks have had an easy schedule because we were concerned about the early part of their schedule before. It got easy.
Yeah.
With Dallas being
hindsight.
Awful, but yeah, I think it's important to coming off a bye. You've got Arizona playing tonight. So we had Seahawks have a bye and they have short rest. Mm-hmm. So Seahawks should be healthy and ready to go. Now do they have the energy? That's always the concern after the bye. Look at note the Packers last week did not have energy after their bye. So, it's again, like we keep saying, hard to predict. The Seahawks should win this game. I think they're the better football team. I've said all along that Arizona, in my opinion, was overrated coming into the season because they got one wide receiver.
Yeah.
Doesn't fix the other issues that they had. So, should win this one. But
for sure.
Who the hell knows?
All right. Well, anything else on Seahawks or how we're feeling coming out of the bye week or coaching or anything like that? You got anything?
No, I mean, so, coaching, I mean, we have some concerns about Ken Norton.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much is him, how much is personnel, how much is Pete Carroll. I don't know. But I know that Ken Norton was an awful defensive coordinator for the Raiders.
Yeah.
And their defense looks better after he's gone.
Yep. I
mean, they have a lot of different players, but I'm a little bit worried about Ken Norton. But overall, the coaching staff seems like they've really done a nice job.
Mm-hmm.
No complaints there. They're letting Russ cook like everybody wanted, but they're not overcooking for the most part.
Yeah.
So, I feel pretty good about that.
For sure. Well, with that being said, I guess it's time to wrap up. I should have said this at the beginning, but yeah, no one's watching right now. But
everybody, there's like millions of people.
Yeah, 57% of you fuckers aren't subscribed. So go ahead and
subscribe.
It's free. Go ahead and do that.
Tell your friends.
Yeah, I know the stats. It's 57%.
And feel free to post on Facebook or Twitter that if you don't like it, shut your goddamn mouth.
We're not gonna go out and beg individual people, but as a whole, if you like our shit, retweet when we post about it.
Yeah.
Post about it yourself. we'll take it all.
That's right.
Yeah. Again, it's just fun to do this. So.
Also, vote. Even if you're stupid and wrong, I hope you'll vote.
Yeah, it's your civic duty.
Yeah, do it.
Half of y'all will probably disagree. Just playing the numbers. Half of you guys are gonna vote different than I voted, but still do it. Yeah. All right. See you guys.
See ya.